Look. We have one horizontal table surface which is frictionless, and there are 3 blocks in all. Block number 1 is tied over here at the end of this string. Block number 2 is tied here at the end of this string. This block has mass m1, this one has mass m2, this one has mass m3. Surface of table is frictionless. Fine. Now tell me, this mass is given to you, how much? 2 kg. This mass is 3 kg. So compared to this mass is bigger, correct? So what is the weight? Weight of a body means mass into gravitational acceleration. So this weight will be more because this mass is more. When this weight is bigger, then what will happen? This mass will move downwards. And as this block moves downwards, this has to move towards right hand side and this has to move towards upper side. Correct? The whole system is moving together. So each block has same acceleration. Let it be small a. Okay. Let us write now equation of motion for first block. Remember, whenever the string is getting changed, force due to tension also will get changed. Say this is string number 1 and say this is string number 2. Forces due to tension, they are produced at the 2 endpoints, equal in magnitude and pointing towards each other. Forces due to tension produced at the 2 endpoints, equal in magnitude, pointing towards each other. Now write equation of motion for this block. Where is this block moving? In upper direction. So in upper direction, force must be bigger. And you know how to get resultant force? Bigger minus smaller. T1 minus m1g. T1 minus m1g. Bigger minus smaller force will give you resultant force. And resultant force is mass into acceleration. This mass is m1, acceleration is a. Write equation of motion for third block. It is moving towards right hand side with some acceleration. So this force must be bigger than this force. So T2 minus T1 equals to M3A. T2 minus T1 equals to M3A. Resultant force equals to mass into acceleration. This block is moving downwards with some acceleration. So this force must be bigger than this force. M2G minus T2. M2G minus T2. And that equals to mass into acceleration. This mass is m2, acceleration is a. Now just make addition of all this. When you make addition, come on, look here, minus t1 plus t1 will cancel. Minus t2 plus t2 getting cancelled. m2g minus m1g. m2g minus m1g. So g is taken common. Inside the bracket m2 minus m1. When you take addition on right hand side, and if a is taken common, then m1 plus m2 plus m3 into a. m2 is 3 kg, m1 is 2 kg, g value they have given 10 meter per second square, m1 is 2 kg, m2 is 3 kg, m3 is 5 kg. Let us find out now a. 3 minus 2, that is 1, 1 into 10, that is 10, 5 plus 3, 8 plus 2, 10, 10 upon 10, it will be 1. So acceleration is right now 1 meter per second square. 1 meter per second square. Okay? We have got the answer. But in the school examination, they may ask something extra. Look, they may ask to find out tension in both the strings. Tension in both the strings. How to find out that? Very simple. Look here. You know value of A? Put it here. Value of A is how much? 1. Say 1. M1 is 2 kg. M1 is 2 kg. G value is 10 meter per second square. So you know all these values except T1. So you can find out T1. Right? Once you know T1, put it here. You know M3, you know A. So you can find out T2. Okay. Next. Very good question. Huh? Very good. Here is wall. Okay. Means some rigid support. Okay. Wall is there. We have one block. What we want that this block should remain suspended here only. Means it should be under equilibrium. Okay. But if you leave it, then because of its own weight, this block will fall down. We don't want that. We want the block to remain here only. And for that what we do? We exert some external force this way. We constantly apply that force and block remains at rest. What minimum force should we apply? What minimum force should we apply? That is what we have to find out. Look, when you apply force, that force will be ultimately exerted by the block on the wall in the form of force of action. So now this wall will provide an equal but opposite force of reaction. But any force of reaction which is exerted perpendicular to contact surface is called normal force. Okay? Magnitudes of force of action and force of reaction have to be equal. Action and reaction are equal in magnitude. So F equals to N. Speak reverse, N equals to F. N equals to F. Correct? Now, no doubt that block is not falling downwards, that is true. But at least what to expect? If given a chance, then this block is likely to move downwards. By itself, it will never move upwards. If given a chance, it will move downwards. So where is expected motion? Impending motion is downwards. If impending motion is downwards, frictional force is upwards, in opposite direction, opposite to direction of impending motion. That is why I have shown this frictional force in upper direction. But why I am writing Fs? Fs means static frictional force. Why static? Because block is at rest. What is the formula for Fs? Mu s into N. So now tell me, if this upward force balances this downward weight of the block, then block will remain here at rest. So for the equilibrium condition of block, these two forces must be equal in magnitude. So mu s into N must be equal to mg. Mu s into N must be equal to mg. Put the value of N equals to F. N equals to F. Put it here. So mu s into F. Mu s into F equals to mg. Coefficient of static friction they are given 0.4. External force I require. Mass of the block is given to you 5 kg. Value of G 10 meter per second square. Capital F comes out to be 125 Newton. Got it? Next. According to law of conservation of momentum, final momentum equals to initial momentum. Final momentum is equal to initial momentum. After explosion, there are going to be 3 pieces of the bomb. That's why I'm making vector addition of linear momentum of all the 3 pieces. That equals to initial momentum. Because initially bomb was at rest, initial momentum is 0. Momentum of first phase, they have given 2 I hat unit. Momentum of second phase, 3 j hat unit. Vector P3 we require 0 vector as it is. Find out vector P3, transfer these 2 terms on right hand side. Will become minus. Right? Now I want magnitude of this, square root of summation of squares of coefficients of I hat and j hat. Coefficients of I and j right now they are -2 and -3. So their square, their addition and its square root will give you magnitude of this vector, that is P3. Under root of 4 plus 9, that is under root of 13, that many units. Okay, next. Here is rough surface of the slope. Rough surface means it has some friction. They have given 2 blocks which are tied at the 2 ends of a string which has been passed over frictionless pulley. Fine. Mass of this block I am taking m1, mass of this block I am taking m2. On a block which is lying on the slopy surface of the slope, what is the normal force? It is equal to mg cos theta. Mg cos theta. Instead of m, I am putting m1. G as it is cos theta. Instead of theta, angle of slope is right now 30 degree. You must be knowing force exerted on the block lying on the slope of angle theta parallel to the surface of slope. You must remember the formula mg sin theta. Instead of m, I am putting m1. And instead of theta I am putting 30 degree. For this block, it is no more in contact with the surface, it is rather separated. On a body of mass m2, there is downward gravitational force m2g. For a string, forces due to tension are equal in magnitude pointing towards each other, produced at the 2 endpoints. Now let me find out whether this force is greater or this force is greater. Depending upon that, I can decide the direction of expected motion. m1g sin 30 degree I want to find out. m1g sin theta. m1 is 2, g is 10, theta is 30 degree, sin theta is 1 by 2, 2 will cancel, giving you 10 Newton. But what is m2g? m2 is 3 kg, g is 10 meter per second square. 10 3s are 30 Newton. You can see 30 is greater than 10. So m2g is greater. If this force is greater, then expected motion for this block is towards the peak of the slope. If expected motion is towards the peak, then frictional force will be just opposite. Okay? And why I have shown Fs here? Because they have said that whole system is under equilibrium. So this block is also at rest. In the rest condition of the block, whatever frictional force is produced is called static frictional force. And now tell me, here can you write T is balancing this weight, that is m2g, T equals to m2g. Moreover, for the rest condition of this block, this force must be equal to opposite forces. This force is T, opposite direction force is, m1g sin 30 degree plus Fs. So T should be equal to m1g sin 30 degree plus Fs. T should be equal to m1g sin 30 degree plus Fs. Left hand sides are equal, so right hand side must be equal. So m2g must be equal to this. m2g must be equal to m1g sin 30 is 1 by 2. m1g into 1 by 2, that is m1g by 2 plus Fs. we require this static frictional force. Transfer this part here, will become minus, G is taken common, inside the bracket M2 minus M1 upon 2, M2 minus M1 upon 2. M2 is 3 kg, M1 is 2 kg upon 2, G value is 10 meter per second square, 2 upon 2 that is 1, 3 minus 1 that is 2, 2 into 10 that is 20 Newton, 20 Newton. Okay, next. Suppose train is at rest. Suppose passenger sitting inside the train. Train is at rest. Okay. Passenger is throwing one ball in upper direction. Ball will rise. It will ascend. After reaching a point of maximum height, for a moment it will come to rest for a moment, and then after it will start descending. Okay. So in a stationary train, if you observe the motion of the ball, look here, vertically upwards, then vertically downwards. So trajectory of the body, that is path followed by the body, is a straight path, linear path. Sure? Even the outside observer also will notice that path is straight. But now, if the train is in forward motion this way, suppose, with constant velocity, and then the person who is throwing the ball vertically upwards. Now the body which is thrown becomes projectile, correct? During its upward and downward motion, the only acceleration it has, it is gravitational acceleration, which is vertically downwards, it is remaining constant. And because while throwing, before throwing that ball, it was in hand of a person was sitting in a train was moving in forward direction with some constant velocity. So that ball had some constant velocity along horizontal direction. And for a projectile motion, don't you know, velocity along horizontal direction remains constant. So now that ball which is thrown vertically upwards, correct, inside a train moving with constant velocity, what will happen? That acceleration along vertical direction and velocity along horizontal direction will remain constant. A motion having these two specialities is called a projectile motion, and you know path followed by projectile will be parabolic path, correct? But that parabolic path will be noticed by that observer who is outside the train. On the ground he is at rest, and that observer will find the path of that body, come on, parabolic, correct? What about that person who has thrown the ball? That person, he will find the path of that ball vertically upwards, vertically downwards, because there is no relative motion in forward direction between ball and that person, because person also has same constant velocity towards the right hand side, and that ball also has same constant velocity towards the right hand side. So as much displacement ball will make in the forward direction, same displacement person also will make. There is no relative motion in forward direction. So what will happen? If he is throwing the ball, then that ball will just come back into his hand only. Correct? Next. This pendulum is swinging This spherical bob, which is suspended with the help of the string, is swinging. Okay, fine. Now what we do, when it reaches the end point, either this or this, suppose this, what we do, we cut the string, or suppose somehow string is getting broken, suppose. Then, when it comes here, for a moment it comes to rest, for a moment. At the end point, it will come to rest for a moment. And that very moment string is getting broken. So now, at the same moment, this has got no velocity along any direction. No velocity along any direction. Okay? So initial velocity is 0. But then after, now it is not getting any support. So it is a body hanging in the air. And now there is gravity. Because of gravitational force, now this body will start falling vertically downwards. And it will start with 0 initial velocity, starting with a 0 initial velocity. You know, for a freely falling body, initial velocity is 0, and then after it is falling vertically downwards. That is along straight path, So in the first case, the path followed by the body will be vertically downwards and straight, that is linear path. Now in the second case, what have they given? When the bob is likely to pass, look here, through the midpoint of the path. At that time, if the string is getting broken, look here, then what will happen? Because this body had come over here, you know, direction of instantaneous velocity is along tangent, So if you draw a tangent to this curve at this very point in this direction, the tangent will be like this. Correct? And now, because the string is cut, it is now a body which is thrown with some constant velocity along horizontal direction. Now it becomes a projectile. Now this is a loose body on which there will be downward gravitational force. So because of that force, acceleration along particular downward direction will remain constant, and velocity along horizontal direction will remain constant. A motion having these two specialities is called a projectile motion. So now this body has become a projectile, and hence path followed by it would be parabolic path. Suppose it is swinging this way, look here, this way. And then if you are cutting the string, then tangential velocity will be along this direction. Then it will follow this sort of parabolic path, correct, on right hand side. Right now it was swinging this way, and the string was cut, so it will follow this parabola. But nature of the path followed will be parabola, sure. Next. We have seven identical blocks which are kept on one by one. They are kept on each other. Okay, there is a vertical pile of 7 identical blocks. Each of them has mass 1 kilogram. Are you given 1 or 10 kilograms? 10. Make it 1. If it is 10, then make it 1. Look, the order is starting from bottom. You see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, in this situation, they have asked, what is the contact force exerted on upper and lower face of third block? I am showing you. If you want contact force on the upper face of block number 3, then you should see how many blocks are lying above the upper face of block number 3. Above the upper face of block number 3, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks. How many? 4 blocks. Where is the weight? Weight is always vertically downward. How much? Mg. For one block it is mg, then for 4 blocks it should be 4 mg. That weight will be exerted vertically downwards. Let it be F1, okay? It will be exerted on upper face of block number 3. Let us find out. For as it is, mass is 1 kg, G will is 10. 10 for the 40 Newton. Vertically downwards. Now what have they asked? The contact force exerted at the bottom face of block number 3. Then first of all you find out what is the total weight of 5 blocks which are lying above the upper face of block number 2. Above the upper face of block number 2, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. Naturally 5 blocks will have weight 5 mg. How much? For one block mg, then 5 blocks 5 mg. But that much force will be exerted in vertically downward direction. But that will be exerted on second block. On second block. We don't want that. We want exerted on third block. But whatever is the force of action provided onto the second block, same force of reaction in magnitude will be provided on the bottom face of third block. So on the bottom face of third block, there is force of reaction, say F2, which is nothing but equal to, in magnitude, force of action provided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. And that is weight of 5 blocks, so it is 5 mg. 5 mg. Come on, m is 1 kg and g is 10 meter per second squared. 10 5 is 15 Newton. But mind well, we were asked to find out contact forces exerted on third block. Exerted on upper face, it is downwards. Exerted on lower face, it is vertically upwards. That's why this direction is vertically upwards. Correct? So if this is block number 3, then F1 is exerted vertically downwards this way. And this is the lower face of the same block. Now F2 is exerted this way. Correct? Both of them are contact forces. Correct? Next. We are asked to find out impulse of force exerted by one body on the rest body. Impulse of force is force into time. You know, according to Newton's second law of motion, F equals to dp by dt, F equals to or F equals to delta P by delta t. Suppose you want force exerted on second body, then you should write here F2. If you want force exerted on second body, then here you should write change in momentum of second body. Now take this delta T here. So F2 into delta T. It will be what? F2 into delta T will be what? Impulse of force. Force into time is what here? Impulse of force. This is the impulse of force exerted on second body. Let us find out that. Here we have two bodies having same mass. Say each of them has mass m. This is body number 1, body number 2. On the same axis, they are moving towards each other with the same speed. So naturally, somewhere they will collide. Okay? After collision, it so happens that they are getting bounced in the opposite directions with the same speed. Earlier also speed was v, now also speed is v. Body number 1 is moving towards left hand side, body number 2 is moving towards right hand side. Right hand side axis we normally take positive x axis, left hand side axis then should be taken as negative x axis. What is F2 into delta T, everybody? Delta P. Say delta P. So here I should write vector F2 delta T should be equal to vector delta P2. And now vector delta P2 means what? Change in momentum of second body. that is final momentum of second body minus initial momentum of second body. Final momentum I am showing by symbol vector P2 dash minus initial momentum of second body vector P2. What do you mean by momentum? Mass into velocity. Mass into velocity. But this is final. Huh? Look here. Mass into velocity. M into V. Towards positive x-axis, so I should write unit vector I hat. Minus, what about vector P2? Initial momentum. For second body, initial momentum was m into v, mass into velocity. But direction of velocity is around negative x-axis, so unit vector must be minus I hat. Now minus minus plus, mv I hat plus mv I hat, totally 2 mv I hat. Correct? Take now magnitude on both the sides. When you take magnitude here, you can delete this vector sign. So it is now F2 into delta t. When you take magnitude here, unit vector has magnitude 1 unit. So it is 2 mv, 2 mv. 2 as it is. What about mass of either sphere? They have given 80 gram, convert into kilogram. 80 into 10 raised to minus 3. 80 into 10 raised to, it will be 0.08 kilogram. Velocity they have given, come on, 5 meter per second. This answer is 0.8 Newton into second. This is the impulse of force for second body. They have also asked change in momentum of either body. So you know F2 into delta t, it is as good as delta P2. So this itself gives you delta P2, that is change in momentum of second body will be same 0.8 Newton into second. You know. Next. We have two blocks in contact with each other lying on a frictionless horizontal face. External force F is exerted on either block, say on the first block from left to right. You know, resultant force is mass into acceleration. Because this force is going to move the entire system, I should write here mass of entire system, that is m1 plus m2. This force you are given 2 Newton, m1 is 6 kg, m2 is 2 kg. Find out A, it comes out to be 0.25 meter per second square. Now, force exerted on second block, only second block, let it be F2. Then you know force is mass into acceleration. Now this mass m2 is also moving towards that side with the same acceleration A, and I can write force exerted on it as mass into acceleration. m2 is 2 kg. What about A? 0.25. 0.25 into 2, that is 0.5 Newton. Your example is over. Here, example is over. In school examination, they may ask, what is the resultant contact force exerted on first block? Resultant contact force exerted on first block. On first block, come on. What is the force toward right hand side? F. Then this much force is exerted by first on second. Then same force will be exerted by second on first. Let it be F2 dash. Okay? What is F value? F value you are given 2 Newton. F2 dash and F2 they are equal. And F2 is 0.5. So this is 2, this is 0.5. Look here. This is 2 and this is 0.5. 2 minus 0.5. 2 minus 1.5 Newton. And that is the resultant force exerted on first block. If you don't want to find out that way, I am showing you easy way. You want resultant force exerted on M1, then it is M1 into A. Say M1 into A. M1 is 6 kg. What about A? A is 0.25. 6 into 0.25. 6 into, it is also 1.5 Newton. 1.5 Newton. Okay? So write additionally, right. For example number 2, put a star and write. For example number 2, resultant force exerted on first block. Resultant force exerted on first block is right below that f minus f2 dash, f minus f2 dash, that equals to f minus f2, f minus f2, right into bracket, because f2 equals to f2 dash, f2 equals to f2 dash, correct? So what have you written now? F minus f2, f minus f2, f is how much? 2, f2 we have found out 0.5, 2 minus 0.5, 2 minus 0.5, 1.50 Newton, written, right? Or second method written, or resultant force on first block, resultant force on first block is m1 into a, m1 into a, m1 is 2, sorry, m1 is 6, m1 is 6 into a is 0.25, 6 into 0.25, 6 into 0.25, it is also 1.5 Newton, correct? Read down next. Number 3 now. Number 3. Leave it here, F only. If you written F1, then make it F. Here also. Look. Now we have 3 blocks in contact with each other. As shown in the figure, they are lying on a horizontal frictionless surface. External force of 12 Newton is exerted on the entire system. So you know resultant force equals to mass into acceleration. Resultant force is 12 Newton, m1 is 1 kg, m2 is 2 kg, m3 is 3 kg. Find out a 2 meter per second square. Suppose F2 is the force which is exerted on this combined mass, say m2 plus m3. So force equals to mass into acceleration. Here you should write that mass which is pushed away by this much force. M2 is 2 kg, M3 is 3 kg. A we have found out 2. 3 plus 2, 5, 2 is 10 Newton. Force exerted on third block, it will be F3. This mass into acceleration, mass is m3 which is 3 kg, a is 2 meter per second square, 3 2 is 6 Newton. So your textbook sum is over. They may ask, find out resultant contact force exerted on first, exerted on second. Suppose they ask, then tell me, what is exerted on first? Simply find out m1 into a, say m1 into a. What is m1? 1. What is A? 2. 1 into 2. 2. Remember, eh? What is the contact force on second? M2 into A. Very good. M2 is 2. A is 2. 2 to the 4. Okay. What is the force on third? We have found out 6. What was the contact force here? 2. Here? 4. 2 plus 4? 6. 6 plus 6? Here it is 12. Got it?
Yes.
Got it?
Yes.
Next. Look here. We have some specific slope having left and right faces with different angles of slope. Left face has come on 60 degree angle of slope, right face come on 30 degree angle of slope. Okay. We have both the faces frictionless. So these two faces are frictionless. Whenever frictionless surface is there, you should not consider any frictional force, correct? Now these two blocks are tied with a string which is passed over frictionless pulley. This mass is M1, which is 50 kg. This mass is M2, which is 30 kg. You know, force exerted on a block lying on a slope of angle theta parallel to surface of slope is, you know, by formula mg sin theta. Mg sin theta. Instead of m, I am putting m1 g sin theta. Theta is right now here 60 degree. Similarly, force exerted on this block parallel to surface of slope will be mg sin theta. Instead of m, I am putting m2 g sin theta. Theta is 30 degree. Fine. For a string, don't you know? Forces due to tension, they are produced at the two endpoints, equal in magnitude, pointing towards each other. First of all, let me find out whether this force is greater or this force is greater. Then only I'll be in a position to judge the direction of direction of motion of entire system. So first of all, let me find out this m1g sin 60. I want to find out m1g sin 60. m1 is 50, g is 10. Sin 60 is root 3 by 2, exactly it is 0.866. This answer is 433 Newton. What about m2g sin 30 degree? m2g sin 30 degree. m2 is 30 kg, g is 10 meter per second square, sin 30 is 1 by 2, which is 0.5. It comes out to be 150 Newton. You can see 433 is greater than 150. So this force is greater than this force. When this force is greater, come on, this block will naturally start sliding towards the bottom of the slope. But as this starts sliding, because the string is inextensible, when this block will start sliding towards the bottom of the slope, this has to start rising on the slope this way, correct? Towards the peak of the slope. Okay, fine. Now, when this block is moving with some acceleration, can't you write the equation of motion for this? This force is bigger, this force is smaller. Bigger minus smaller equals to mass into acceleration. Bigger minus smaller equals to mass into. Bigger is m1g sin 60 degree minus smaller is t equals to mass is m1, acceleration is a. This m1g sin 60 degree we have found out it is 433 Newton minus t. m1 is 50 kg, a I want. Now similarly equation of motion for second block. Bigger force must be this, then only this block will start rising, correct? So this is bigger force, this is smaller force. Bigger minus smaller will give you mass into acceleration. Bigger is this, t minus this. T minus m2g sin 30 degree should be equal to mass into acceleration. This mass is m2 into acceleration. For both the blocks it is same. Now this m2g sin 30 degree altogether we had found out it is 150. m2 is 30 kg, a we require. Now it is t minus 150 equals to 30 into a. Just add these two equations. Add these two equations, okay? When you make addition of these two, come on, minus t plus t will cancel. 433 minus 150. And when you make addition here, 50 plus 30, that is 80 into a. Find out a from here, it comes out to be 3.538 unit of acceleration meter per second square. Now this value of a, you may put here, no problem. In each case you will get the same value of capital T. I am putting over here. 433 minus t. 433 minus t, that equals to m1 into a. m1 is 50 kg into a. A value is 3.538. 3.538. Now from this you can find out t. It comes out to be 256.1 unit of tension. Tension is some sort of force. It is Newton. Right. Next. Look, we have one rough horizontal surface on which there is some frictional force. We also have two blocks, same masses M1 and M2, tied with the help of a string. We just pull it, say towards right hand side with acceleration of force 20 Newton. Fine. Now this entire system is moving towards right hand side with some acceleration. Then can't you write equation of motion? Bigger minus smaller should be mass into acceleration. Bigger minus smaller should be mass into acceleration. Bigger force must be this. Then only the whole system is moving towards right hand side. Bigger force is this. For the entire system, the frictional force exerted at the contact surface, they have given just to take same for both the blocks. They have said in the statement. Frictional force on each block is same. So now this is also F, this is also F, opposite to direction of motion. So F minus F minus F. Capital F minus small f, so minus 2 times small f. Bigger minus smaller will give resultant force that equals to mass into acceleration. Mass of these two blocks totally it is m1 plus m2, acceleration is a. Right? Why we are not considering these forces? When you are considering the whole system, now these two are constituent particles. So these two forces will be internal forces. Right? Internal forces are equal in magnitude, opposite in direction. So when you are talking about the motion of entire system, you should not consider any internal force. Fine. Now this F is given to 20 minus 2F. M1 is 3 kg, M2 is also 3 kg. Acceleration you are given in the statement 0.5 meter per second square. And now find out 2F. 20 minus 2F as it is, 3 plus 3 that is 6, 6 into 0.5 that is 3. Transfer this minus 2F on this side will become plus 2F. 20 minus 3 that is 17. 2F equals to 17, then F will be 17 upon 2. 17 upon 2 that is 8.5 Newton. Put this value of F over here. Correct? Then do one thing. Just apply equation of motion for first block. When you apply equation of motion for first block, because first block is moving towards right hand side with some acceleration, this force must be bigger than this force. Okay? Come on. T minus F. T minus F. Resultant force equals to mass into acceleration. T as it is, F we have found out 8.5 Newton. M1 is 3 kg. A we are given in the statement 0.5 meter per second square. 3 into 0.5, 1.5. Minus 8.5 transport over here will become plus 8.5 plus 1.5. 10 Newton. That's what I have written here. 10 Newton. Right. Next. Good example. We have some rectangular bar or rectangular rod. Okay? Some strip is there. Total length is capital L. At this right end, we exert force F1 towards right hand side. At this left end, we exert force F2 towards left hand side. In short, these two forces are pulling forces. Pulling forces are away from each other this way. Right? Pushing forces will be towards each other. These two are pulling forces. Right? Fine. Expansive forces, you can say. Expansive forces. If you exert the forces this way, they will be called compressive forces. Compressive. This is expansive. Okay? Now tell me. We are asked to find out force due to tension which is produced at this cross section, which is at distance y from right end. How to find out that? I am showing you. Here I have shown this arrow shorter than this, because in the statement you are given F2 less than F1. Are you given? F2 less than F1. So speak reverse. F1 greater than F1. F1 greater than
F2.
That's why I am showing this force greater. Okay? I mean by longer arrow. Now first of all, let us find out linear density of mass. Linear density of mass. Look here. Similar part I am going to give you just now for just proving it that result here only. Okay? You will be in a position to derive that provided you understand this. Linear density of mass. Let it be lambda. What do you mean by linear density of mass? Mass per unit length. Mass per unit length. That is total mass upon total length. Total mass upon total length. Total mass of the whole rod I am writing capital M. Total length I am given capital L. Whichever mass you write in the numerator, corresponding length you must write in the denominator. For the first part, let the mass be M1. Length is Y. Mass is M1, length is Y. For the second part, mass is M2 and length is L minus Y. Because total length is L, out of which you can subtract this. So mass is M2 and length is L minus Y. So mass upon length. Now tell me, the whole rod is moving towards right hand side with some acceleration, or even if it is not moving towards right hand side with some acceleration, then each part is under tension, so it is likely to have that much acceleration. Okay, now tell me, what is right hand side force? It is a bigger force. Left hand side force is a smaller force. Bigger minus smaller will give you resultant force. So F1 minus F2. Resultant force is the mass into acceleration. Mass of the entire rod, that will be capital M, into acceleration is A. Find out A now. F1 minus F2 upon M. F1 minus F2 upon M. Write equation of motion for this first part. Equation of motion. Look, when you are pulling the rod this way, correct? You know what happens? This part is trying to pull this part this way. So this is the force due to tension exerted by second part on first part at this very cross section. Then similarly, this part also will try to pull this part towards right hand side, correct? This way, by exerting same magnitude of force. But right now we are considering motion of first part, so we should concentrate only on those forces which are exerted on the first part, not exerted by first part. We should find out those forces which are exerted on first part. Exerted on first part is this force which is bigger and is this force which is smaller. Bigger minus smaller, F1 minus T. Look here, F1 minus T. That will give me resultant force, which is mass into acceleration. What about mass of this part? M1, correct? Into acceleration, A. Now F1 minus T as it is. What about M1 from here? Look, find out from here. What is M1 value? M upon L into Y. What is M1? M upon L into Y. What is M1? M upon L into Y. Into A. A is already we have found out. F1 minus F2 upon M. A is come on. F1 minus F2 upon M. Now this M and M will cancel. M and M will cancel. Correct? Come on. F1 minus F2 into Y upon L. F1 minus F2 into Y upon L. F1 minus F2 into Y upon L. Just transfer this minus T on this side will become plus T, and transfer this part from right to left. From right to left. It will become minus, okay? Minus T when you transfer here will become plus T. Okay, here it is. Now this F1 as it is. Minus F1 into Y upon L. Here it is. Minus F1 into Y upon L. Minus minus plus F2 Y upon L. Plus F2 Y upon L. Now from first two terms, I can take F1 common. F1 common. Inside bracket 1 minus Y upon L. 1 minus Y upon L. And plus F2 into bracket Y upon L. Now look at the final result. Is it same? Same. Now the exercise which I am giving you just now, look what you have to find out. Look here, this tension we have found out now. It is this, okay, exerted on first part. Now I am asking you to derive expression for tension exerted on second part. This tension I want, no doubt, magnitude wise they will be same, but you follow the similar procedure and get the same formula for this capital T also. Shall I give you a hint? Look here. This acceleration will be as it is. Acceleration will be as it is. The way you wrote here, equation of motion for first part. Equation of motion for first part. Now tell me, equation of motion for second part. Look here. The whole rod is moving towards the right hand side. Correct? With acceleration A. So now this force must be bigger. And this force must be smaller. So T minus F2. Everybody?
T minus F2
will be M2 into A. Will be
M2 into A.
Find out M2 from here. M2 will be how much? M upon L into L minus Y. M upon L into and into A. A is this much. A is this much. Same. Okay? Derive the, make subject of the equation capital D. You will get the same result. Okay? Have some patience in the simplification. Okay? Don't lose the courage. You go on simplifying. Okay? Without any mistake. Force on this. And that tension is towards the right hand side. Because the rod is moving towards. This force must be bigger, this force must be smaller. So T minus F2. Say
T minus F2
should be equal to M2 into A. Should be equal to
M2 into A.
Find out M2 from here. Take this up. M upon L into L minus 1. Right? Into A. A is this much. A is this much.
Question number 4.
Question number 4.
So that 50 plus 30, you did 80 here.
Here. This
50
one.
plus 30. You add both the equations you added.
Then when we add these two, what will happen? Minus T plus T cancels. So this plus this.
A
But
plus
here it is minus na.
So A plus A 2A.
No. But when you take this plus this, A in A common na. 50A plus 30A. 50A plus 30A. How will you make addition? A is taken common. Inside the bracket, 50 plus 30. 50 plus 30 is how much? 80. That's what I have done here. Tell me. T minus F2. T minus F2. T minus F2 is equal to M2 into A. M2 into A. What is M2? Yes. M upon L into L minus 1. M upon L into L minus 1. This L minus y you are putting, and if you are not putting this bracket, what will happen? This L and L you will cancel. Then it will become M minus y. What is this? You must know how to put the bracket. This is M2 into A. Into A is how much?
F1 minus F2.
Yes. F1 minus F2 upon M. And now M and M will cancel. Okay? Look. It is now T minus F2. Now F1 minus F2 I am writing first. Let me separate the denominator here. L upon L, that is 1. Minus Y upon L. Minus Y upon L. Correct? F1 into 1, that is F1. Minus F1 Y upon L. Minus F1 Y upon L. Minus F2 into 1. Minus minus plus F2 Y upon L. F2 Y upon L. Now compare this with this. Minus F2 here also, minus F2 here also. Getting cancelled. Correct? And then if you cancel this, so look here, this and this. Then T equals to F1 I can take common from this first two terms. F1 taken common, inside the bracket 1 minus Y upon L. And plus F2 into Y upon L. Plus F2 into 1. Correct? Correct?
Yes.
Are you getting same result?
Yes, sir.
Whichever habit you form, any new thing which you learn in any subject, any time, learn it perfectly and stick to the perfect habit. Don't just change it. Don't write haphazardly. You will be nowhere, I tell you. Even the simple sum you cannot do because you are not writing properly. Be very specific while putting bracket and all that. Regarding the signs also, 1 means 1 only, 2 means 2 only, plus means plus only, minus means minus only. We have a graph of x versus t. X versus t. X is in meter, t is in second. Graph is from A to B, B to C. This is rising graph, slope will be positive. This is falling graph, slope will be negative. Here it is t equal to 2 seconds, correct? Now around 2 seconds, just select very small time interval. Around 2 seconds, select very small time interval. Now this much part of the graph, it is horizontal. It is horizontal. If the graph is like this, there is a positive slope for a rising graph. Graph is like this, slope is negative because it is falling graph. But if graph is like this, horizontal, slope is 0. Slope is 0. At t equal to 2 seconds, I want to find out velocity of the body. What is instantaneous velocity? Time rate of change of position of a body. Mathematically, it is dx by dt. What do you mean by dx by dt? Slope of graph of x versus t. Slope of graph of x versus t. But because the graph around 2 seconds, very small part of the graph around 2 seconds, it is horizontal. It is for any horizontal graph, slope is 0. So this is slope and it is right now 0. If you take this instant of time, look here, before 2 seconds, then it is first instant of time. After 2 seconds, let it be second instant of time. Now we want impulse of force. Impulse of force. What is it by formula? Force into time. Force into, it is called impulse of force. Don't you know Newton's second law of motion? F equals to dp by dt. F equals to dp by dt. So what is F into dt? dp. dp means change in momentum. Final minus initial. Final momentum is mass into final velocity minus initial momentum is mass into initial velocity. Now m is taken common. Inside the bracket v2 minus m as it is. But as I said, in this entire part, velocity is 0. Velocity is 0. So velocity at time t1, velocity at t2, velocity at first instant, velocity at second instant, both the velocities are 0. So initial velocity is also 0, final velocity is also 0. 0 minus 0 is 0 into m will be 0. So impulse of force in the first case is 0. Now they have given time t equal to 6 seconds. Look, 6 seconds is here. Correct? Now you select extremely small time interval around 6 seconds. So one instant you should take before 6 and one instant you should take after 6 seconds. Got it? Now tell me, where is this point? Where is this point? On part AB. Where is this point?
BC.
On part BC. Very good. Now first velocity I take v1. It is dx by dt by formula. dx by dt means slope of graph of x versus t. Slope of graph of
X versus t.
correct? But initially the graph is this from A to B. What are the coordinates of this point A? 4, 0. Coordinates of this point, come on, 6, 20. 6, 20. Coordinate of point C, come on, 10, 0. Now here for part AB of the graph, what is the slope? Change in y coordinates divided by change in x coordinates. Change in y coordinates 20 minus 0. Look here, 20 minus 0. Divided by corresponding change in x coordinates. Corresponding change in x coordinates 6 minus 4. 6 minus 4. 6 minus 4 is 2. 20 upon 2 is 10 meter per second. Now let us find out V2 at this point. Okay. This point is lying on which part of the graph? BC. Now V2 is also by formula dx by dt. It is a slope of graph of x versus t, and right now it is slope of part BC. Slope of any straight line graph, change in y coordinates divided by change in x coordinates. Change in y coordinates, come on, 20 minus 0. Divided by corresponding change in x coordinates, come on, 6 minus 10. 6 minus 10. Okay. 6 minus 10 is minus 4. 20 upon minus 4 will be minus 5 meter per second. This is initial velocity. This is final velocity. One is the velocity before 6 seconds. One is the velocity after 6 seconds. Now in that extremely small time interval, what is the impulse of force? Let it be F into dt. You know F into dt. Look here. It is equal to m into v2 minus v1. M into v2 minus v1. Mass of the body you are given 2 kg. What about v2? V2 is minus 5. Minus v1. V1 is 10. Minus 5 minus 10. Minus 15. Minus 15 into 2, come on. Minus 30. Unit of force is Newton. Unit of time is second. Actually speaking, this is the true answer. But in textbook, they have given with plus sign. So they might have gone for magnitude. Oh, actually, you should write this answer. Minus 30 Newton into second. But in the options, if minus 30 is not there and plus 30 is there, so you should take magnitude. Then it will be plus 30 Newton into second. Okay. Next. D equals to V0t plus 1 by 2 AT square. Initial velocity I am taking 0. Why? Both the particles given to you, they start their motion from state of rest. From state of rest. When any particle starts motion from state of rest, initial velocity should be taken 0. T as it is. 1 by 2 as it is. Don't you know F equals to ma? F equals to? Ma. So what is m? What is A? What is A? F upon m. What is A? A is, come on, F upon m. Acceleration is force upon mass into t square. This 0 into t will be 0. 1 by 2 I have written F upon m into t square. Now tell me, when two particles attract each other by gravitational force, actually speaking, they are internal forces, because first particle is exerting that force on second particle is exerting that force on first particle. So now you are talking about internal forces. You are talking about internal forces due to mutual interaction between two particles. Remember, according to Newton's third law, are equal in magnitude. Equal in? So F is constant. F is constant. 1 by 2 is constant. F is constant. You are asked to find out ratio of distances covered by them in the given time interval. In the given, so T is also constant. 1 by 2 is constant, F is constant, T square is constant. So what is the relation between D and M? It is inverse proportionality relation. D proportional to 1 upon M. D proportional to 1 upon M. D is inversely proportional to mass. Come on, inverse proportionality then 1 to 1. 1 to 1. Come on, from here D1 upon D2, and from here M2 upon M1. Remember that? D1 upon D2 should be written as M2 upon M1. But distance is covered by two substances. They are not given by symbol D1 and D2, they are given by symbol S1 and S2. By symbol S1. So instead of D1 upon D2, what will you write? S1 upon S2, and that will be equal to M2 upon M1. This is the final answer. Okay. Read next. Number 9 is a very good sum. Look. We have a slope in which upper half of the surface is ideally smooth surface, no friction. Lower half of the surface is rough surface. It has some friction. Okay. Now what is given to us when one block starts from the top of the slope, from the state of rest, when it comes from here to here, velocity keeps on increasing. But now it has to overcome this frictional force. And in doing that, what happens? That velocity of this body decreases. Finally, when it comes at the bottom, it becomes stationary. Okay, block comes to rest. So now we are asked to find out the expression of coefficient of friction in terms of angle of slope. I'm showing you how to do that. Just release the body from, say, point A. Let it come from A to B. From A to B. Now this surface is, look here, smooth surface. This part is smooth surface. Whatever is this length, same is this length. Okay? Because these two are equal halves. So this is L, this is L7. Now for smooth surface, apply equation of linear motion for constant linear acceleration. Third equation. V square minus V0 square equals to 2AD. Don't speak V square minus V0 square. Say square of final velocity minus square of initial velocity is equal to 2AD. Is equal to 2AD. When body is going from A to B, here it will be final velocity and here it will be initial. So VB square minus VA square. Everybody. VB square minus VA square equals to 2AD. Simple, huh? VB square I want. VA I should take 0 because body started here from state of rest. So initial velocity is 0. 2 as it is. What is this acceleration? Acceleration of the block parallel to surface of block. Acceleration of the block parallel to surface of slope. Parallel to surface of slope. Remember? G sin theta. Say G sin theta. If I am asking you force parallel to surface of slope, you must tell me mg sin theta. Say mg sin theta. But I am not asking you force, I am asking you acceleration. Acceleration of the block parallel to surface of slope is g sin theta. Is G sin theta. So this acceleration is come on g sin theta. This acceleration is come on g sin theta. Okay. And distance covered between points A and B, come on, it is L. So VB square is, come on, this part is 0. 2GL sin theta. 2GL sin theta. Now for rough surface, from B to C, come on. Square of final velocity minus square of initial velocity will be 2AD. Look, when body is going from B to C, here velocity will be final velocity, here velocity will be initial velocity. So VC square minus VB square. Everybody? VC square minus VB square will be equal to 2AD, but now this acceleration is different than this. So I am giving different symbol. A dash. Say A dash. And distance between A and B and distance between B and C, they are same. Here also L, here also L. So let it be D, no problem. VC square. When the block comes here at the bottom, it comes to rest. It comes to rest. It becomes stationary. So final velocity is 0. What about VB square? Come on. VB square is how much? VB square is 2GL sin theta. Say 2GL sin theta. 2. Now try to understand this acceleration. Look. Already G sin theta is towards the bottom of the slope, parallel to the surface of the slope. Okay, G sin theta. But now there is a friction. So frictional force will be provided, look here, in a direction opposite to motion. Motion is taking place downwards, this way, towards the bottom. So in the opposite direction, frictional force will be this, correct? What is the formula for frictional force, everybody? Coefficient of friction multiplied by normal force. Coefficient of friction multiplied by normal force. On a slope of angle theta, what is normal force? mg cos theta. Say mg cos theta. This is the expression of frictional force. And I have told you, in the expression of force, multiplier of mass, coefficient of mass will give you acceleration, will give you except mass m. What is the rest multiplier? Mu g cos theta. Everybody?
Mu g cos theta.
Say.
Mu g cos theta.
Which will give you deceleration produced due to frictional force. Due to
Frictional force.
now this block is coming down, meaning thereby this acceleration must be more and this acceleration mu g cos theta must be less. Then only the block can come downwards. Correct? So bigger minus smaller. Bigger minus will give you resultant acceleration parallel to the surface of the slope. So now this becomes a dash. This becomes. Now come back to this. VC is 0. Come on. VB square. VB square is 2GL sin theta. VB square is 2GL sin theta. 2. What is a dash? Just now I explained. Resultant acceleration in this case of friction in this on this rough surface. Resultant acceleration is, come on, G sin theta minus mu g cos theta. Come on everybody. G sin theta and into distance covered between points B and C, it is L. Simplify now. This is 0 minus 2GL sin theta. 2GL G and G. Can I take common? Can I take common? 2 into G. L is there. Okay. Into sin theta minus mu cos theta. Come on. 2GL. 2GL getting cancelled. Minus sin theta is equal to sin theta minus mu cos theta. Transfer this. Sin theta plus sin theta, 2 sin theta. Transfer this on left. From minus it will become plus. Mu cos theta equals to sin theta plus sin theta, that is 2 sin theta. 2 as it is. Come on, sin theta upon cos theta, what is it? Mu equals to 2 tan theta. Mu equals to
2 tan theta.
Now in examination they may use this result. They may give you value of angle of slope. Value of suppose 30 degrees. Suppose then in this case they may require to find out coefficient of friction. Come on, tangent of 30 degrees 1 by root 3. Say
1 by root 3.
into 2, that is 2 by root 3. Say
2 by root 3.
2 upon root 3. Root 3 is 1.732. Then you can find out. Okay. Coefficient of friction is unitless. Is so better you remember this result also. Sometimes if they are giving you this value, then no need to derive all this. You can simply use this result directly. Okay. Mu equals to 2 tan theta. Mu equals to
2 tan theta.
But that is the condition must be like this only. Okay. The situation must be like this. Then only this answer is mu equals to 2 tan theta. Okay.